What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the From Struggle to Salvation podcast. I'm your host, Michael Edison, here with Sapphire Adams and Michael Adams. How y'all doing today?
Doing all right.
I ain't trying to make it. Just trying to make it. That's all.
Anything going on with y'all this past week?
Work. Finally out of school semester, but work.
Yeah.
I gotta tell you something about that in a second. But me and Sapphire was
Work
talking
for
before
sure.
we started recording. You were going in a different direction career-wise?
Yeah. Just as far as and don't get me wrong, it's not even really like a big career change because I know that y'all heard on the the other episode or so, that I was doing this life insurance thing, PHP agency, and basically I had to take a step back simply because I was like, nah. This ain't the time for me right now. You know what I mean? And don't get me wrong, I don't want to bash the company, bash the people at the company. Good people, cool company, man. You can actually grow in there.
Yeah.
However, it wasn't the time for me. And I felt as if that I have to continuously be spirit-led, be God-led, because a lot of times we make our own decisions thinking that, I can get my money up this way. You know what I mean? This could be a nice little side hustle, or this the way that's going to get me the best amount of money, or this the way that I know that I'm not going to run out of money because this is a sustainable career. Woo out the woo. Whatever your reasoning may be, it may not be the time for you, or it may not be that may not be exactly where God wants you to go. Yeah. So it's very important to attentively listen and to also listen to your soul, listen to your spirit, your intuition. You know what I mean? A lot of times we automatically know that this is absolutely draining me in the worst way. I am watering a garden that isn't giving me anything for a reason. You know what I mean? It's for a reason. You don't just go through barren times for no reason, right? God does that for a reason. God helps you grow for a reason. You know what I mean? So just being attentive of that. So I had to take a step back from that, y'all. And I had to tell them people,
So did you feel like it wasn't, I guess, to your example about watering the garden or whatever, you feel like it wasn't like watering your soul, as in it was kind of giving you the feeling of, oh, this is something I want to go after and continue to do? I guess you weren't feeling that way with it?
Nah. I was not feeling that way. And I know that we were talking beforehand, and I know that you were saying that you were trying to find something that fueled you, that gave you that zeal.
Yeah.
And that was really so profound, because I think that a lot of times us as human beings, we do the thing that sounds the most sound, I guess. We do the thing that sounds the most safe, right? In order to just build whatever we can build in this life. But truly being happy, being proud, and I guess loving what you do is very important, because you don't have a whole lot of time on this earth. Right. And a lot of times we think that as human beings because, we human and we think we untouchable. But seeking out what you really want to do, what brings you that zeal, seeking out exactly, and a lot of times, y'all, that coincides with exactly what God wants you to do. Mm-hmm. The thing that puts that fire inside of you to run, Yeah.
And I guess to add on to that as well. So I know beforehand I was telling everybody that I was, going to school for this degree for accounting, that kind of thing. So I made the decision this week that no, I'm no longer going after that, because especially at my age, I'm 28, and that's not that old, but you kind of up there in years, and I was thinking to really take another 3 to 4 years to go after another degree. Do I really want to do that right now?
Yeah.
And I was like, nah, because especially when there's so many other things you can get into in life, so many things you want to do. So I kind of asked myself, okay, what do I want to do? What makes me happy? What ultimately do I want to do? Obviously you have to work and you have to make money, you have to survive and everything. But okay, after that time, what do you want to do? How do you want to impact people? What makes you happy? So kind of going back to what you were saying, we think we have a lot of time on earth, but we actually don't. So take care of your responsibilities as a human, but you still have to be happy with the situation you're in. So it's be around the people that bring you peace, not negativity or all that stuff, but and also do things that you don't mind doing on your spare time, because you don't know how long you have on earth, so you might as well make the best of it while you're here. So
Amen. I wholeheartedly believe that. And also, just to add in on that, add another tidbit, y'all. listening to God is very important for that exact reason. You know what I mean? When we get to this idea of what is my purpose, what is going to drive me, and what do I want to do for a lifetime? You know what I mean? Like things like that are huge questions, and there's a reason why we as human beings don't automatically have the answer, right? Because God wants you to seek Him out. He wants you to ask Him, "Yo, what is my purpose? What should I be doing, God?" And it's important that we listen.
Perfect. And Mike, do you think that at our age, or maybe like in our 20s, we think, okay, by this time we need to have these things figured out by this age or that age? Like, do you think we kind of place that pressure on ourselves instead of like what Sapphire was saying? Well, let me come to God with this, and okay, good Lord, on your timing, this is when this will happen. This is when that'll happen. Like, what are your thoughts on that?
Because I honestly feel that way as far as like societal standards wise. I feel like I am behind only because of what I want to do with my life, and the things that I have in my life, and it's perpetuated me to get those stuff. So it's like I always ask myself, did I always wanted to be an electrical engineer? Man, let me tell you, I thought about giving up on that career path and all that. I was just like, man, I don't want to do this no more because it was draining, it was tiring, and I had too much going on in life. I was like, I can't do it. Then I ended up just telling myself, you know what? I only got 2 years left. Just get out the way. You know what I'm saying? Because ultimately speaking, like I sat down with myself and I asked myself, I said, what do I really want to do? Is it really electrical engineering? And I was just like, not necessarily, but the things that I want to do later on in my life, because I don't want to do it right now because I'm in the process of building it so I can have it sustainable.
Oh, so this is like a vehicle to get.
Yeah, it's purely just a vehicle for me. And I was just like, you know what? I don't have a dream job. I don't have a dream career. It's me relaxing, me doing what I want to do and enjoying life. So becoming an electrical engineer wasn't really what it was, but looking at all that it entails, it allowed me to sit here and say, you know what, I'm smart enough to understand it, so why don't I apply myself to it and then build up upon it and then reap the benefits off of it and then enjoy my life, the life that I want later on. Because ultimately when I'm at that stage, I don't really need to work for that company like that for years until I'm 65. I could be out by like 40. And enjoy the rest of my time and just stacking my money some other kind of way, stuff like that. Or if I wanted to have I don't really want a business, but if let's say I decided to have a business and have it completely self-automated with people like working for me.
Or you just kind of just maintain, you're not really much hands-on with it.
I'm not hands-on with it, and I can make my money that way. I can see myself doing that. But ultimately, I know businesses, you got to be in it for like a couple of years to actually make sure it's stable. But other than that, I already knew this wasn't really what I want to do per se, but I knew it was just, I had to get it done. So in order to get where I need to be in life, that's the best way I can explain it. Cause I can't sit up here and say, oh yeah, I always wanted to, when I was younger, I always told myself I wanted to be an engineer. Then I'm seeing all the work and all that entails. I'm just like, ugh. Especially after everything I've been through, I'm just like, I can't, I feel like I'm failing. I feel like I'm losing. And I was just like, you know what? I'm going to do what I need to do to get it done, build up the stuff that I need to get done, and now I'm going to be out. That's just my main plan. I'm not finna sit up there and just, Yeah. And I'm also, while I'm in school, I'm doing it the smart way. I'm not taking out stupid amounts of student loans. So please stop doing that. Please, everybody who's ever listened, please stop taking the student loan.
Went in beforehand.
Yeah.
If you're gonna take out student loans, do it at the later stages of your career. Your school, and try to go to community college and pay it for yourself. That's the best way. But yeah, that's just, I'm trying to do it a smart way so I'm not in debt. So that way I can do more later on instead of paying off a loan.
Yeah, and the way that our school system is set up on a collegiate level, you are 9.5 times out of 10 gonna come out to school with debt.
Yeah.
Like there is really no in between. Like, I mean, I have not seen anyone yet that just automatically has no debt unless their parents was in the military or something. You know what I mean? Like
full ride
right,
scholarship.
full ride scholarships,
Well,
like
that's
the
only-
rarities, right? And
Yeah.
they're only rarities because the rest of us are paying, truly, and they expect the rest of us to pay so that they can fuel those rarities. And like that's why it's very important to, I would say, have a plan. I know a lot of times, and don't get me wrong, like we already know, like sometimes your plan ain't God's plan. We get it, yo, we get it. But I have really always been a firm believer in write it down. I've always been a firm believer in like you need to know where you want to go. At the very least, where you want to go, what you want to do in the upcoming month or so. You know what I mean? You need to know, because if you don't know, then you just moving. You know, you're moving without cause. You're moving without intention. You're just moving to get by. And that's how you fall into this category of, I would suppose, just surviving life instead of just living it, right? So there are two ways that you can take that. And I know this ain't even where we were supposed to be going, but I like this.
Yeah.
I like this a lot. So we might just stay here.
We keep it real over here.
Yeah, we keep it real, dog. We might just stay here because choosing a career, choosing what you want to do with your life, and honestly, I like what you said, baby. Like as far as feeling like you're failing, man. And I say that I like it because I've been there and I'm still there. Majority of my time.
That's all three of us.
Yeah, bro. Like
Feeling
majority
like you're
of my
behind,
time.
according to society's standards, like you're supposed to be here at this age. You're
Yeah.
like, man, I'm behind.
Yo, and I wouldn't even just say society standard. I would say my family standards too. Like it's
I wonder if that's harsher than
Unspoken.
society's standards.
yeah,
because-
it is for me because I care more. Like, you know what I mean? For the people that raised you, for the people that love you, for the people that put things inside of you, I often think that they expect something to come out of that. And I do believe that it should. You know what I mean? You
should
want-
have that level of expectation
Yeah.
because you need to make sure that at least your children are doing what they're supposed to be doing, and you don't have
Facts.
to necessarily take care of them for the rest of your life. I mean, of course, after high school, you know, you're supposed to go to college and all this other stuff.
Right.
But you also got to be on your P's and Q's. And it's very hard for someone who's 18 getting out of high school to be on their P's and Q's
Facts.
about when they go into school. And then on top of that, they go into these top status colleges for the name just to rack up $100,000 in debt.
And
For nothing.
honestly, dog, especially
ridiculous.
in our community, in our culture, the Black community, yo, after 18, you automatically expected to dip, or at least I automatically
big time.
expect. Like they are
I
expecting.
can tell you because even some of my friends in other communities,
Yeah.
they don't have that expectation that we have. Like,
Facts.
like, no, stay here as long as you need. You know, once you get yourself in order and everything,
You good.
And then you
Yeah.
can,
But then it's like you gotta. There's like then it goes back to the dating game and all that other stuff because everybody looks at it like from a man's standpoint is that you're expected to also take care of everything when you get into that relationship as far as financial wise, and then everybody like the other side is like looking at you like, hey, you still living at your mama's house? You still ain't got a car? You still ain't got this? It's just like I get it to a certain point,
I think
but it's like
a
but at
guy
the same
can get
time.
away with that if he's probably in college or something. But if he's like a full on adult after college or whatever, and a
That's
woman
like when
comes
you're like in your
across-
30s and 40s. Like, all right, y'all, like, come on. You know, you know.
I'm gonna keep it
30s,
because I was just about to say I'm gonna keep it a stack. I guess I could get it, but I don't. Like 30s and 40s friend.
No,
let's
yeah.
keep it a
Yeah.
stack.
Let's keep it a
You
stack. You
should
gotta-
at least have you an apartment
Yeah.
at the very
Yeah,
least. I don't care where the apartment is. You should have one. You should
something
have
you
a
can call your
stove,
own.
right, bro?
Have something.
Have some
Something.
water in the fridge. You should have something.
Something.
It should, and I'm not just saying on the men's side. I'm saying for the women too. Like you should have something because I really believe that. Honestly, for me, I had milestones when it came down, and not to like rib on my parents, because I believe that my parents, they did me right when it came down to like getting out of high school, and I was automatically thinking, I'm gonna go straight to college. I'm gonna go straight to Sam Houston State University, and I'm gonna major in this, and I'm gonna go here. Yeah, I already had it planned out. God was like, nope, you're not doing that. You staying here, you're going to ACC, you're gonna be with your people, and you're gonna work in the church. And I cried. I did cry because all of my other friends, they were off to college.
And I bet you had that sense of, man, I'm kind of behind everybody. Like,
Yes,
what am I doing with my
and
life?
so let me say this. What do they say? Comparison is a thief of joy. And it
true.
absolutely is true, because when you start getting on Instagram, Facebook, whatever is your vice, and you start looking and seeing all your buddies and your friends and your exes or whatever, and you be like, dang, you all the way over here and I'm all the way back here. But that's not the case. You're exactly where you're supposed to be. And you're going to get where you need to be by the grace of God and your hard work and your prayer. Like, you have to be committed to your growth. You know what I mean? And not
And your growth is going to look differently from someone
facts.
else's growth.
From everybody else.
Exactly. Don't base it on everybody else's growth,
'Cause,
because their
like-
growth is different.
Because like, let's keep it a buck. I got my associate degree 6 years after I graduated high school. A 2-year degree took me 6 years.
Yeah.
I feel ashamed about it a little bit, but it's just like, you know what? It is what it is.
I'm about to say,
You know,
it is
it's
what
like,
it is.
it is what it is. I got it done at least, because some people
Don't get it done.
don't get it done. They don't even
And don't
have,
plan to.
Don't even have a GAD. You know, even though I'm comparing in that aspect, I'm just saying it's just like I also have to remind myself that, you know, I'm doing better than most,
Yeah.
and that I got to keep grinding to where I need to be, and that's what's driving me.
Yeah.
And if I'm not, I could have just been satisfied or just left it there, but I'm just like, nah, that's not the life I want to live.
Amen.
So
Yeah,
I just
'cause
keep,
think
you
we have
gotta
to
keep
always
pushing.
keep growing, like
Yeah.
keep improving ourselves, because God didn't just put us here on earth just to be just people that just, okay, I'm good just the way I am. No.
Chilling.
It's like, no, you gotta,
Chilling and contentment.
you gotta get to work, y'all. Like, let's go.
Man. And the Bible says that we should be prisoners of hope. We should automatically have hope, especially if you believe in your big God. Your God is big. You can have big dreams. You can have, you know what I mean? Like, that is really expected of you to have vision. It's expected of you to have a vision because you have a God. You know what I mean? That guides you, that kept you safe to get to this point in your life. You think that he just got you here just to be here? You know, especially when we look around, and I know for me, like, I got people that I know that I have conversations with that are dead and gone now. You know what I mean? And so looking back, and I'm just thinking that, but God has kept me here. And I know that I'm young, but you can die young. You know what I mean? That too. It's just that God has you here for a reason, and God keeps waking you up, keeps getting you up.
He has work for you to do.
For work, yo, for spiritual work, yo. And it's important that we understand that, because the world can trick you into thinking that you have no purpose, can trick you into thinking that you're so far behind that you can't get up. Like, they will trick you into thinking that, and then you'll start to beat yourself up. And then you start to look at yourself not the way that God looks at you, but the way that the world looks at you. And that's a problem. Even the way that you look at yourself. I remember that I've going through this entire thing of career and school and all that, man, and societal pressures and family pressures. I had a problem with self-criticism, and I self-criticized myself a lot.
What were some of the things that you would say to yourself?
Man.
If you don't mind sharing.
Yeah. Not gonna get too deep and dark, but I used to just be like, you're not smart, you're not intelligent, you can't do this. You know, just those raggedy things that you say to yourself in order to trick you out of thinking that the calling that God has called you to isn't for you, but you're the person for the job. That's exactly why you feel it on your spirit. That's exactly why God instilled it inside of you. That's why you have endured to this point in your life, because you're the person for the job. That's your calling, and you can't run away from that. You know what I mean? And you can't beat yourself up out of there. So yeah, those are some of the things that I would like tell myself to deter myself from believing that I can do it. I am able to do it. And I am so grateful that God has brought me to this place in my life where I have a whole lot of self-confidence, to the point where people get uncomfortable around me, because I am going to shine my light as bright as my God has allowed me to shine it.
Amen.
You know what I mean? And if we was all doing the same thing, shining our lights, that is, we wouldn't feel so comfortable trying to dim somebody else's.
Yep. We would encourage them, hey, keep raising your light. Keep letting it shine.
Because it's gonna be my time soon to shine my light and let everybody see how bright it shines. You know what I mean? For sure.
I want to go back to something we was talking about, you were saying earlier. So I know you were saying, like, I guess in our community, like at 18, you're kind of expected to, be out and be on your own.
Yeah.
And I was saying, like, some of my friends, some of the people I've came across, especially like with the women, some of them, they kind of have grown up with the mindset or been taught that, you know, you can stay here as long as you need to until, you know, either your career has, I guess, taken off, or unless you find you a husband and, you know, he can kind of take care of you, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So, and kind of in relating that to what we're supposed to talk about today. So I guess, could career be something that could be a red flag to somebody if they were potentially looking to be in a relationship with somebody, as far as this person has his career going versus this person, either he doesn't have a career going or he's a little shaky in his career? Like, could that be a red flag to somebody?
I believe that it can be. It absolutely could be. In the sense of like, I would say that if the person that we're talking about, especially from a woman's standpoint, like if the man that you're dealing with, if he doesn't, again, have vision, if he doesn't have ambition, the will to get something started, maybe he doesn't have something started right now, right? And we've all been there. You have to start somewhere, right? Mm-hmm. So like if he doesn't have to have if he doesn't have something rather in store right now, he has a plan for it, then I'm willing to work with you in that plan, because I know that I have to grow too. I'm not where I'm at either. You know what I mean?
As long as he has something, like I said, some sort of plan or a vision.
Yeah, some sort of plan or a vision. Because if he doesn't, that is a red flag, right? That is absolutely a red flag.
That's for both people.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, I was just speaking from a woman's standpoint, but
I'm saying like,
as far as like a man, as far as like a woman as well, like not having a plan, not having a vision, it's problematic. It is a red flag, because here's the deal: when we talk about relationships and we talking about like getting into marriages, you can't be with somebody that doesn't want to work, in the sense of working towards something. You can't be with somebody that doesn't want to grow. We talk about things individually.
Who's like a woman who wants to be like a housewife, would you still consider them being someone that's working?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Let me say that. Big advocate.
You know, some people are like, she ain't out here breaking her back or whatever.
Big advocate of housewife. Big advocate of house husband. You know, whatever works for the household, I say. At the end of the day, dog.
You said big advocate of house husband?
Big advocate of house
husband. Shit, that's what I'm trying to be.
Not even capping on that, man. Like,
you heard that? He said you want to be.
I'm tired of working.
If that's what works for the household, that's what works for the household, man. And as far as like this idea of, I know we get really boggled into like finances or whatnot, but at the end of the day, if we all play our roles and do what we're supposed to do and work as a team, we'll get to where we need to be regardless. I don't care who's doing what, how they doing it, who's making how much. Nah, team is team. Okay,
you gotta get rid of that selfish mindset. While you're in that team.
It's all about me.
It's all about me. That can't happen, and especially when you even get to thinking about red flags from somebody in career wise or whatnot. It can't be all about you and what you want and what you think somebody should be doing and how you think somebody should be acting, man. You can't change anybody. Only God can change a person. Only God can truly grow and convert an individual. You cannot do that. I don't care who you are or what you do, dog.
A lot of people think they can do that. They come into a relationship. Oh, I can change this person.
Stop trying to build somebody.
Yeah.
I don't care if it's men or female.
Like it's Build a Bear.
Stop it.
Get it. Have it your way at Burger King. This ain't it, man. It is exactly. They are exactly where they're supposed to be right now. Unfortunately, like even if they are not on your mature level, they are exactly where they're supposed to be right now. And you have to learn, even with career, how to just walk away. Okay. You know, how to just move on. Because sometimes that's what you have to do. And going back to this idea of listening to God, listen to God, study in your word, pray and meditate, and get your answer on what you should do. If you truly believe, I don't know what to do. I don't know if I should walk away. I don't know if I should stay. What should I do?
Yeah.
Yeah, ask God.
Because you will come into those crossroads at times.
Absolutely.
It's like your mind and your heart is telling you two different things. Like, Lord, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. Like,
yeah, you gotta make them tough decisions, man.
Facts. Yeah. And I've come to a point where I have just been asking God to guide me every day. Like, order my thought, order my speech every day, man. Guide my steps. Because I truly want to be a vessel for God. And I think that my best work will come from God. I absolutely believe that because all of these things inside of me were placed inside of me with intention. And if I don't seek out the individual that placed it inside of me, then I won't ever get to see its real potential show. So like all of that is very important, man, when we get down to listening and we get down to making decisions and going on this Christian journey in general, I would say. So absolutely, wholeheartedly. Yeah.
I mean, because if, like you said, the person that placed those thoughts in you, you're not gonna be able to build it or manifest it to its highest potential. Basically, doing it by yourself, you can't do that because the person who placed that within you, he knows how high you can, the highest potential you can hit with that. You don't know that, but it's coming to him, praying to him, talking to him, studying his word. That's the only way you'll know. And I think that's where we have to get to in life. And I know personally, me, that's something I've always been telling myself is, like, especially when you start like creating plans and that sort of thing, include God from the very beginning.
Yeah.
From the very beginning, when
From
you
the
sit
very
down,
beginning.
writing it down, however you go about doing it, like include God from the very forefront of
Amen.
everything. Because you can make the most sound, detailed plan and all that,
Mm-hmm.
but if you didn't include God, don't expect it to go picture perfect. Because honestly, plans don't always go picture perfect. There's gonna be times you have to change some things, or maybe like, oh well, I thought about taking this vehicle, but actually we need to take this whole different vehicle. I didn't even think about that vehicle. So I think I've heard this saying where, let me see if I can paraphrase it right. Basically, I guess how they say, like, don't compromise on the destination, but be flexible in the vehicle. Be flexible in how you get to the destination.
Right. Okay.
Because wherever you're trying to go, like you may have thought, okay, I'm gonna take a car to this destination, but maybe midway the car has to break down. Maybe now you gotta get on the plane
How
to get
about
your
that?
destination.
Yeah.
So sometimes your vehicles are gonna change, but the destination is still the same, but the vehicles you take to get there may change over time. So,
Right.
and I think that's where we need to be always keeping our thoughts on the Lord and asking Him for guidance, because you might have to change mid-direction or something you were trying to do. You might have
Right.
been, Lord, I know for me, like when I was young, especially coming out of high school, like music was something I really wanted to do and get into, but especially like when COVID happened, like my priorities in life kind of changed. So like, okay, I'm going to a different direction. I didn't see myself going and doing something different. I thought of myself doing music for the rest of my life. And I mean, it's still something I do to this day, but it don't have the same priority in my life like it once did. So that's why I think we just need to, like I said, just always include God in your plans, because that's your best chance of having a successful plan. We include Him because He'll show you things that you might not have learned just going off with yourself.
And adding into that, going back to this idea of like the car breaking down in the middle of your journey and you having to find a new way to get there, dog, that is just how life is. And I wholeheartedly believe that it's that way for a reason. And it is hard. It's hard, man, but it's that way for a reason because God wants you to depend on Him. You know what I mean? And furthermore, going back to your comment of things changed when COVID hit, right? Preservation in one season looks different from preservation in another season. That's what Sarah Jake said, y'all. And I was like, dang, when I heard that, I was like, wow, that's a fact. And this shows that you are transforming with every single, I would say with every single hurdle, right? With every single hurdle that life throws you, with every single test that you endure, you are transforming. Those are the reasons why you're going through that. The reason why the car broke down is because now it's time for you to transform. The reason why the train stopped is now it's time for you to get off and transform. Like all these things are for your transformation. So even going back to this idea of like picking a career, picking a partner, seeing the red flags in that, through every red flag, through every green flag, I would even say. You feel me? Because you even find out what you want sometimes versus what you don't want, or even maybe you know what you don't want versus what you want.
Yeah.
Transformation. Transformation and absolute growth. And I think that is it's so powerful and profound the way that God has us set up, the way that life is set up. You know, it really is, because at the end of your race, hopefully you can absolutely understand exactly why you went through what you went through. At least that's really the goal for me, I would say. You feel me? When we get down to like going on this journey with God and going through everything that we go through and going through career and going through life and having families and all that, man, but getting to the absolute end. That's why it's so important to have God in on your building, because he's going to be there at the end. You feel me? That's why it's so important. So I think that that's like the main goal for me. And I think that it really should be the main goal for all of us as believers, as Christians, to absolutely get to the end and be like, this is exactly why
I
God
went through
had
all
me
these
here.
trials and tribulations. and everything.
Right. God had me here for this. God placed me here for this. Yeah. It's a beautiful thing. For sure.
So then going also back to what we were talking about with spiritual red flags and that kind of thing. So I guess, so would it just depend on the person as far as career, like being a important thing? Because for somebody, let's just say like from a man's perspective, he might be someone who he is career driven, that kind of thing. He might want a woman who she is very career driven, just like him, or he may not want someone who's that career driven, but at the same time still want you to grow and, you know, fulfill the purpose that God has given you. Now, I guess on the flip side, will we say, let's say like a woman, would she be okay with someone who is, let's say he wants to be a stay-at-home husband kind of thing, but that's it, I'm not trying to grow, that kind of thing? Or does she want someone who, actually I do want someone who has a career, wants to, you know, go higher and further in life? So I guess what I'm asking is that something that's just depend, like a case by case kind of thing, or is it, no, this is usually how it is, no matter how you look at it?
You want to answer that one?
I'll say generally a woman will most likely wants somebody that's more career driven, and because of hypergamy for the most part, because they want something either at their level or
What's
more.
hypergamy? I know what it is, but just for those who don't know.
I can't give the best explanation for it. It's just that you want to keep growing. You want to keep consistently growing. You want the top notch, the best, something or something that's
the best option.
The best option, or something like they want something at the same level or better. And usually, most of the time, it's better. They don't. Yeah. Sometimes they get someone that's at the same level. They are trying to encourage them to keep going so they can be where they want that person to be at. So it's always something wanting more. And generally speaking, I would most likely say no. Women don't really necessarily want that. They don't want the man to typically be the house husband unless she's out there doing her thing. But I mean, as I've seen women who's actually top earner in a relationship while the husband at home, I've seen generally they like kind of like stressed out. They can't really handle, like I would say they're a little bit more stressed out, and they would feel some type of way about if their man just kind of just at home and they're just looking at them like.
Is it also because they're facing because the social program, like their lifestyle is kind of
it's like
total opposite from the social program?
Yeah, it's really like that, and they just looking like, what? You're a man. You're supposed to be out here doing something. You're supposed to be creating
You're supposed
something.
to do what I'm doing. I'm supposed to do what you doing.
You know, it's like it's always kind of like back there in the back of their mind, unless they kind of like conquer that part of them and just being like, you know, this is okay because, you know, I can have this baby, you can take care of this baby, you know, it's easier for you to do X, Y, and Z, it's easier for me to do X, Y, and Z. You know, it depends on your relationship. But if we look at it from a general standpoint, you man got to be out there. But as far as the flip side, it's kind of like, for me, I prefer Sapphire to be a housewife because it's just simpler. But I've seen as far as everything as life has thrown things at each other, I say that she gets a little bit more stressed out, but I know she can handle it. Absolutely, she can handle it, but I know, but will I like to save her from that stress? Yes.
Oh yeah.
So that's why I'm just like, once I get to where I want to be at, go ahead and stay home. You know, it's your choice if you want to or not, but I'm gonna be like, hey, I prefer you to stay home because I like you to be happy. I like you to be, you know, safe, protected, you know, not out here in this world getting stressed out, getting attacked. I don't want that to happen to you. Prefer you to stay home.
Good husband, Sapphire.
So that's essentially what I want to do. But if she was just like, you know, I want to do this acting career, I want to go out here and do these other things, I'm like, okay. Hey, I look at it as there's more money coming inside this household. We can do whatever we want with it. And that's how I look at it.
And I guess all she's doing what makes her happy.
Right.
Versus having to do this just in order to keep food on the table.
Right.
Kind of thing.
But that mindset only works if, of course, someone like Sapphire who is driven on us succeeding, not just That whole mindset of saying, like, you know, if you heard that saying, like, his money is our money and her money is her money type thing.
Yeah.
You can't go into that type of situation with that mindset, because y'all never going to be on the same page when it comes down to certain things. I understand you know, we're all individuals at the end of the day, but if you really considering a team and building and having a life together, you can't do that with a selfish mindset. You really can't, because you're gonna sit up and you're gonna. We also hear this saying, you know, where the dad or the mom tell the daughter, "Hey, keep some money on the side in a shoebox or something like that." Why are we doing that? You know, and like we could have been like something could have been happening, we could have been struggling, and you not once touched that money, but I'm over here busting my butt, doing whatever I can to get through it, to get us out of this emergency. While you had probably $10K, they could have easily saved us. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, come on, y'all can't keep doing that. It's like you can't be 1 foot in and 1 foot out. This is a marriage, and then you gotta be 100% in.
Otherwise, I thought we were teammates.
No, we were supposed to be teammates, but you over here expecting me to give it all. You know what I'm saying? No matter if it's man or woman. I'm just saying in general. If you're expecting your partner to give their all while you're halfway in, halfway out, it's never gonna work.
Yeah, it's not.
You know what I'm saying?
It's just a matter of time before the relationship just comes collapse.
Exactly. So that's why I'm just like, you know, we already had this discussion. This is what I want to do. If you want to go do what you want to do, cool. But I'm also going to be here to take care of you. And I'm also expecting a level of expectation from you to take care of certain things for me also. Household, other things, just like whatever your expectations is for me. It's the same thing. But that's what I ultimately want to do.
I respect that.
Yeah.
Is that fair?
Yeah. I agree. I also think that I do think that it is, on the flip side, I think that it is like case by case as well, because you do have women that work very hard and don't mind working hard and providing in a sense of like just bringing extra money, you know, bringing more money. And you do have men that are comfortable with staying behind with the children, you know, helping out, woo out the woo. And you have the flip side of that more often because it's more traditional that way, right? And then oftentimes, I think that going back to this idea of roles, or going back to this idea of placement in the household, where you have the man that's the head of the household and you have the woman that is submissive, even though I will say that they are really submissive to each other if we're just keeping the stack. Like, the man is the head because the woman has chosen him to be the head. She has said that I am trusting you full throttle with your leadership because I love you and I believe in you. And that's big, y'all.
Yeah,
that's
really
real big.
Yeah,
you know what I
yeah,
mean? And
really
it's big for a man to understand that, receive that, and reciprocate that even
not
more
only
so.
that, but don't take it lightly, because
Facts.
she's entrusting you with a lot of different
With a
things.
lot of
Like,
things,
don't-
man,
don't
with a
do
lot
that.
of things. So it's important for both roles. You know what I mean? The world will have you thinking that you just want me to be weak and woo out the woo. No. I want you to trust me. And you trust me, I trust you, going back to this idea of teamwork. So I think it is a case by case, and in more of the rare situations, I would even say, when it comes down to like careers and who's going to make this amount of money and who's not going to make this amount of money, or woo out the woo. And it has to be a conversation that you have to have, simply because finances are always going to come up in a relationship. I mean, it is what it is. You know, like we're living in a world where money is important. It's important for you to live. It's important for you to succeed. So you have to have that conversation in order to do what is best for you and your household. I would say, but definitely more traditional for women to be in the house and men to be out there working. But it is still a case by case, because you still have those rare exceptions. And the exception doesn't mean the rule. So
yeah. Even if you're out there, the one being the top earner, man or woman, don't be. I was about to curse. I apologize, guys. But just don't be that person that come home just trying to like, you ain't do this, that. You supposed to be this, that.
That's
don't
wrong.
do that. If you know you want a certain type of man or a certain type of woman in your life, go after that particular person. Don't go after someone that you just like physically or whatever, and then try to change them to fit into your own narrative. Don't do that. If you already had that conversation of saying, you know, I would like to do X, Y, and Z, this, that, and the other, and you have some non-negotiables, talk it out. Be honest with each other, because a lot of y'all are really not honest with each other. Then wonder why certain things happen in your relationship. Then you're just like, well, oh, I thought it was gonna be like this, da da da. But you didn't have the conversation, or if you did, you wasn't listening to what they were saying to you, and you kind of completely disregarded and just decided,
Because you wanted your fantasy.
you wanted your fantasy, and you should have accepted the fact that even though that person may have been good or bad towards you, let's stick to the person that was actually good for you because they was a good person, but they had one thing that you just could not get over. Just accept the fact and move on. Because obviously, at the end of the day, God was just telling you right then and there, that's not your person. Even if they was a good person, they wasn't your life partner. So just accept that fact and move on and find someone that's going to fit into the narrative that you got going on. And sometimes your narratives don't be working sometimes. You got to be honest with yourself. Sometimes it's just all about you. You got to accept the fact that you got to be someone who is a team-oriented, team mindset to achieve certain goals. Because at the end of the day,
I feel like that's no way it's going to work if you're trying to be in a relationship with anybody. You can't
Exactly.
go into it and be like, hey, I want to be with you, but it's my way or the highway. And it's like, see how long that relationship lasts.
because it's like just because you're the head doesn't mean you're the dictator. I'm sorry,
Absolutely.
you can't be a dictator.
Yeah,
in a
because
relationship.
let's just with that, just look at it from a work standpoint. Who likes working for someone who's just a straight up boss, dictator? Go do this, go do that, go do that. And I've always, like, from my experience, I've always liked working with those who, yeah, they were above me leadership wise, but they didn't mind getting down and dirty with us, like doing the stuff that we were doing. Like,
Doing the work.
You didn't mind working with somebody like that. You didn't mind giving 110% because, like, yo, the same things he's asking us to do, like he can go. He don't mind getting down and doing it himself with us.
Right.
Right.
But compared to someone who's just sitting behind his desk, just barking out orders and stuff, it's like you trying to do the bare minimum, if that, and just go about your business. You ain't trying to do that much with
Or
that
you're not
kind of
trying to
person.
build relationships with people. And I've also a firm believer in if you don't understand the people that you are leading, then
that's not your environment.
Right.
It's really
it's,
That's a good point.
is
yeah.
is absolutely not going to go the way that you think it ought to go because you're not listening. You're not being attentive, so you're not being a good leader. I think that's also a bottom line in general when we get into relationships and when we get on the job or when we get in our life. Like being a good leader requires you listening, requires you working. You know what I mean? Requires you loving. Those are all the requirements of a great and good leader. And you automatically see that from Jesus, you know what I'm saying? And from the way that Jesus loved the church and how he operated when it came down to the church, right? So that's very
Because he
important.
loved everybody, and no matter if they
matter
came
what.
from different walks of life.
Absolutely.
And that's why a lot of people who weren't at the time believers or didn't really know much about him, they was willing to follow him because, like we said a bunch of times on this podcast, he met them right where they were.
Yeah.
And so once he met them right there where they were, then they were, okay, I want to actually listen
We
to
have
what
to
he's
we
gonna say.
have to also take that into account when it comes down to relationships, meeting people right where they are, and I'm not saying lowering your standards. I'm just telling you to be realistic. The person is where they are, and you again, you can't like push them to like go faster, get up here with me, do this, not unless they want to. So you have to be very cognizant of that.
And sometimes you can only inspire them to do that.
Yeah.
And that's like the word inspire. You got to you got to show them like the kind of life it can be. And
Exactly. Lead by example.
Yeah. And sometimes the inspiration can deter them. It is what it is. And it's just like, you got to accept that fact and just be like, you know what? It's either this is for me or not for me.
Right.
And you got to make that decision right then and there.
So as spiritual individuals, and as believers, how do you depict red flags in a partner, or maybe even in a career too? Because we've been talking about career, we've been talking about partners, but how do you depict those spiritual red flags when it comes down to partnership and career?
Yeah, so this answer I'm gonna give, it can kind of go for both of them. If whatever career or relationship that you're in with someone, it's a red flag if it's taking you further away from God.
Amen.
If it's hurting your growth, hurting your time of spending with God, if it's messing all of that up, yeah, I don't think that's the direction God wants you
Great
to go
answer.
in, and I don't think that's the person that God wants you to be with, because that career that you're getting into, that person that you're with, it should be helping you grow closer to God, not further away from Him. So that's something to look out for. And yeah, even on the job, yeah, you might be, because I know usually on the job it's not advisable to talk about
religion,
that
Yeah.
kind of thing. And there's certain people you can talk about it with, but it's just an environment where I guess you can practice certain spiritual things as far as like, being loving, being caring, working as a team, and it's not a toxic environment, that kind of thing. So if you're in an environment like that, then yeah, this is kind of helping my spirituality, my walk with God. And same thing. Well, when it comes to relationships, I mean, it's always, in my opinion, it's better to, if you can be with someone you can have those conversations with openly, not be afraid to have those conversations. Because I mean,
big.
it just helps the relationship grow, especially if y'all are both centered on the Lord. Then it's like, yo, this is a great thing. But if y'all can't really have those conversations, then yeah, I would say that's probably a red flag. Only if religion and being Christ centered is very important to you. Because some people, let's just be honest, they're not very Christ centered, so that might not be a red flag to them. But if you're someone who is really serious about being a Christian, then that should be a red flag too if someone doesn't really want to have those conversations with you.
Yeah. What about you?
Well, that for sure. Consider your non-negotiables. Really look at it honestly, because a lot of people forego it and then get mad when they don't get something in return in equal value, or sometimes it's not even equal value to begin with. So it's just like I always said, be honest with yourselves. Be honest with how you feel about everything in life and societal standards about God, especially, and find someone that aligns with that. And then on top of that, it's just taking it seriously, because I feel like a lot of people don't take it seriously when it comes down to relationship.
Yeah,
They're all
very
about in the moment, especially in careers, especially in mine right now, because I feel like I'm getting caught up in the moment, and I don't necessarily feel like I'm growing. And only because I'm not necessarily learning what I want to learn in my career. And of course, when I'm talking to people there, they're just like, oh, it's going to take a while, this, that, and another. And I'm just like,
discouraging.
It's discouraging because it's like, because I don't want to be like that person. I don't feel like I should be waiting when I'm already in the field that I'm already in, because this is supposed to be a stepping stone into that field, and I don't feel like I'm growing on this stepping stone. If this is all the stepping stone is, then that's what it is.
That's tough to be in when you're in that position.
If that's what it is, that's what it is. And I can completely grasp that and understand that. But I ultimately know, I feel like where I'm at right now, I should be growing. I should be learning. I should be getting excited. I don't feel excited about it. So it's just like, okay, I need to take my time and really assess the situation and then make the best decision for myself, for my family, and everybody around me, so that I can ensure that.
And pray much.
That too.
Yeah.
And have that answer. And once I finally make that decision, either to stay or leave, then I make it.
Have you ever thought about maybe with that career, maybe, I guess, looking outside, like, I guess, looking at other resources to, I guess, look, because you said, I guess, you weren't like learning what you need to learn, maybe looking at things that does pique your interest, that I guess can kind of supplement what you're learning at the job or whatever?
I think it's more so like the company though, right?
I feel to me right now is more majority of the company, because it's kind of like you get in, you get thrown into it.
Right.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not even it's not necessarily like the career. It's just the company and how they're operating.
Yeah.
And you don't feel like, yo, y'all aren't really watering me to grow. Truthfully, you know what I mean? Y'all not giving me the resources.
It's like
sink
we're
or swim, pretty much.
Yeah, we're just kind of just like
throwing me into the fire.
And everybody, I just look at everybody. Everybody just kind of just there, and they're not really.
All right.
It's like it doesn't feel like that environment to grow in. I'm just like,
yeah.
But even though I know in my heart that I'm not necessarily trying to get to the tippity top of this particular field, I'm just more like, I'm more focused on doing what I want to do later on more than anything. But I also know that I need to ensure like everything is going right, so I can at least know once I get to where I need to be, I don't want to be questioned why I'm there. I want to make sure I have that confidence while I'm there.
Hey,
that's the main thing. Is just like,
and even if you do get questioned, you have the confidence to give the answer of,
there you go.
I am here.
I'm here for a reason, and I earned my
Right.
way here. I don't want to be sitting there just
Amen. That's good.
you know,
I like that. That's real good.
because if I can't sit up here and confidently tell you what I do, then it's kind of like, I could tell you my title.
Yeah, it's like, I don't know he's confident about what he does.
But if I showed you the thing and I'm telling you that I can't even tell you what's on that paper.
Yo,
You know what I'm saying? It's like
that's
it's one
wild.
of,
That's
it's like,
wild. But that's exactly how I felt with that PHP thing. You know what I mean? So like even going way back and like seeing the amount of time that I was putting into that and how I did feel like it was taking me away from doing my other works, whether in the church or on committees or woo out the woo. But me having to consistently put in all of this effort to not get what I want to get out of it. I'm like, you know what? Let me go ahead and sit you over there because yo, yeah, you should be able to say, this is what I do, this is how I do it. You know what I mean? This is where I want to go as far as like what you want to do or where you do want to be in the future, whether that's chilling back after retirement or whether that's growing inside of a company, reaching where you want to reach. You know, that's very important.
and it's like it's understandable for like someone could take it as like, oh, you was looking for the instant gratification of it. But it's like also, but I'm also hyper aware of everything because I'm sitting here like, okay, is this really benefiting me? Because I'm always asking that question, you know.
I
I'm
think
trying to,
that's a good question to always ask.
Yeah, it's
because
like-
you don't want to waste your time.
you know, we all not trying because this life is short. We ain't trying to sit here and waste time, but it's also like at the same time, I understand that we need to take the necessary steps to grow, and it is sometimes going to take a long time.
Yeah.
But you know, we're all looking for it, but it's like, but you also have to understand that, you know, it shouldn't also be like this. I know for particular situation, but the situation I'm in, it shouldn't be like this. I should be actively learning. I should be actively going out there talking to my fellow engineers and seeing what they do and all this other stuff. The fact of the matter, I have a conversation with one and he just kind of just like, you know what I'm saying? It's like, nah, do I get like, is that something that I'm looking for as far as like just going in like for 5 days out of the week, in and out, just kind of just like whatever, and I'm just getting paid for it? Sure, that's easy money. Can't complain there. But at the same time, it's just like, I know that if something was to happen, of course, something always happens in this life.
Yeah.
We get knocked out of that, and then we got to find something new, and then the new thing is expecting high level stuff, and you kind of sitting there just like, well, I do have the years of experience, but can I tell them to be honest, you know, being like, you know, because I try to be honest when I'm going out there. I know some people's like, you gotta lie sometimes, you know, fluff it up a little bit just to get the position, but I get that, but also I got it. But
They expect you to be able to do the job.
but like, as far as engineers, like doctors and stuff like that, you have to know what you're doing in order to get the position, because they ain't just gonna get some. Because at that point, they might as well just get someone off the street just to do the job then, and they could teach them and pay them less. You know, we got to take certain paths seriously, because you can't BS everything in life. You can't do that. You got to make sure you know this stuff. That way, you can ensure that you can't be kicked off the team because you don't know it. You have to know. You got to put in the time and the effort to do it. And if you're not doing that, you're never going to get anything good out of it. 100%.
Right. And I think that we also have to have this discernment when it comes down to career choices, relationship choices. These are big lifetime choices, people. So we have to have, we have to have discernment when it comes down to these things. So knowing what is God sent, knowing what is just probably good, maybe for the moment. You know what I mean? Things do run out, seasons do end.
But how do you know if it's God sent?
Yeah. So going back,
we may have to talk about that next time.
Right, we probably have to talk about that definitely next
something's
time.
God
Definitely next time. But I will say that it goes back to the same recipe: prayer, meditation, listening for God. And we can even, when we get to that, we're going to also talk about like, how do you know it's God speaking to me, right? How do I know that this is me being led by the Spirit and it's not just me? Yeah, that's going to be a good little topic for next time. But yeah, going back to what I was saying, God sent good and something that's just totally bad. You automatically know this ain't for me. I don't need to be doing this.
I came in on first day.
Right. Plain as day. It's bright. It's in your face. That red light is right there like, no, this is not the way. This is not what you should be doing, boo.
It's time to be.
But what about some people who, you know, there's some people that are in that position from a career standpoint where I genuinely don't want to do this, but I got
bills to pay.
feed, I got bills and all that.
Yeah.
So what would you say to those people? Because that's sometimes some people they see the red light every single day when they go into work, but I don't have the option to go
just
away.
right. I would say be obedient. That's a hard thing to do.
Yeah.
It's very much hard for me even now. It's hard for all of us, you know what I mean? But I would say be obedient. When God says move, you move. When God says stay, you stay. God is going to give you exactly what you need wherever he sends you.
Right.
Yeah.
And
So-
he can also offer you a plan. I mean, hey,
Facts.
if this is like, let's say for example, you working at like a psych ward and you got to manhandle some patients. That's not a good job. We already know that's a hard job. That's a straining job, unless you can really
God
deal
bless,
with it.
God bless people that are doing that.
Aye,
Yeah.
for sure.
God bless
But
them,
if
sure.
you already know, like, hey, I want to do something else with my life, talk to God, see if y'all both can come up with a plan to get you where you need to go. But sometimes, yeah, you got to stay in that I was about to say pulpit. It's really not a pulpit, but just stay in it for a little while longer, because you're gonna see the fruits of your labor. You're gonna keep watering what you watering and get where you need to get to.
That's
That
the
way
same
you're
thing
gonna-
Joseph had to go through when he was in prison for a while, when his brothers had sold him into slavery, and then he was accused of having sex with that woman, which he didn't do. But he ultimately wanted to, be like this high leader, and it took him time, but he had to put in those years, and ultimately he got to that point. So
Yeah.
just went to-
And sometimes you're gonna be in the trenches for a little minute.
Yeah.
That before you even get to anywhere you want to be. Success doesn't happen just like that.
Right.
And if it does, you gotta find a way to maintain it.
Right.
Because anybody could hit the lottery one day and they could blow it all in next week.
Yeah, and even that is with intention. I would just say, as far as the comment with like, pray about it and seeing if y'all can come up with a plan as far as you and God. Yo, your plan is already done. You ain't got to come up with nothing. And even going back to this like example of like, I was like, I really don't want to do this. God hears you. God is listening to you. We don't be listening, but
true.
God be listening. So like, God already has your plan. You just got to step back and let him do his thing.
Yeah,
and
sometimes you
it's
just feed it
easier
through.
said than done. Facts. You have to train yourself. You know what I mean? Train yourself. Study that word. You know what I mean? Make yourself have time to pray. Make yourself have time to meditate. Make yourself have time to release and relax, to rejuvenate. All of that is very necessary when we get down to making those big lifetime decisions and those life-changing, life-altering decisions. So that's really what we want to leave y'all with. If anything else, definitely trust in the God that created you, that has your plans. Facts and all facts. That's it.
Amen. So we'll end on that note. Thank y'all for listening to this episode. If you like to check out more of our episodes, please go to our YouTube channel. That's From Struggle to Salvation Podcast. And also, if you have any questions or concerns, please email us at From Struggle to Salvation Podcast at gmail.com. Again, that's From Struggle to Salvation Podcast at gmail.com. And stay tuned for the next episode. We want to continue to shed more lights and talk about things that are not talked about in the church. So we thank y'all for supporting us, and please continue to share our episodes. And if you have any, like I said, if you have any topics you want us to talk about, definitely let us know. And I'm Michael Edison. That's Michael Adams, Sapphire Adams. We'll see you next time, and take care.
Peace.